This is from Forbes. Ed Renzi, former president and CEO of McDonald's USA. Thanks to fight for $15 minimum wage, McDonald's unveils job-replacing self-service kiosks nationwide. As the labor union-backed fight for $15 begins yet another nationwide strike on November 29, I have a simple message for the protest organizers and the reporters covering them. I told you so. It brings me no joy to write these words. The push for a $15 starter wage has negatively impacted the career prospects of employees who are just getting started in the workforce, while extinguishing the businesses that employed them. I wish it were not so, but it's important to document these consequences, lest policymakers everywhere decide that the $15 movement is worth embracing. Let's start with automation. In 2013, when the fight for $15 an hour was still in the growth stage, I and others warned that union demands for a much higher minimum wage would force businesses with small profit margins to replace full-service employees with costly investments in self-service alternatives. At the time, labor groups accused business owners of crying wolf. Turns out the wolf was real. Earlier this month, McDonald's announced the nationwide rollout of touchscreen self-service kiosks. In a video the company released to showcase the new customer experience, it's striking to see employees who once would have managed a cash register now reduced to monitoring a customer's choices at an iPad-style kiosk. And it's not just McDonald's that has embraced job-replacing technology. Numerous restaurant chains, both quick service and full service, have looked at computer tablets as a solution for rising labor costs that won't adversely impact the customer's experience. Pizza, a fully automated restaurant concept, now has 5 locations, all in cities or states that embraced a $15 minimum wage. And in a scene stolen from the Jetsons, the Starship delivery robot is now navigating the streets of San Francisco with groceries and other consumer goods. The company's founder pointed to rising minimum wage as a key factor driving the growth of this automated delivery service. Of course, not all businesses have the capital necessary to shift from full service to self-service. And that brings me to my next correct prediction, that a $15 minimum wage would force many small businesses to lay off staff, seek less costly locations, or close altogether. Tragically, these stories in California in particular are too numerous to cite in detail. They include a bookstore in Roseville, a pub in Fresno, restaurants and bakeries in San Francisco, a coffee shop in Berkeley, grocery stores in Oakland, a grill in Santa Clara, and apparel manufacturers throughout the state. In September of this year, nearly 1/4 of restaurant closures in the Bay Area cited labor costs as one of the reasons for shutting down operations. Now, this is something Trump and his boys won't talk about. Why is that? Well, we know why. And just this past week, a California-based communications firm announced it was moving 75 call center jobs from San Diego to El Paso, Texas, citing California's rising minimum as the deciding factor. And dozens of additional stories can be found on the Internet. Other states also learning the same basic economic lesson. Customers have a limit to what they will pay for service. Voters in Washington, Colorado, Maine, and Arizona voted to raise minimum wages on Election Day, convinced of the policy's merits after millions of dollars were spent by union advocates. In the immediate aftermath, family-owned restaurants, coffee shops, even child care providers have struggled to absorb the coming cost increase. And yet, with parents paying the cost through steeper child care bills and the employees paying the cost through reduced shift hours or none at all. And it goes on. This is what costs jobs, ladies and gentlemen. This has nothing to do with Japan or Mexico or devaluing the dollar or anything of the sort. And it's not the sort of thing that Donald Trump's going to talk about or wants to talk about when he comes down the elevator at Trump Tower. Because then he'd be taking on labor unions. Isn't that interesting?